Welcome to Sentence of the Day, and this week we're looking at metaphors. So let's go through the learning intentions for Sentence of the Day this week. Firstly, you'll be expected to write a well-structured sentence that contains capital letters to begin the sentence and for proper nouns, end punctuation, whether it be a full stop, question mark or exclamation mark, and a metaphor, which compares two things by saying that one thing is the other thing. On my next slide, I'm going to define what a metaphor is, in other words, what it means, and I'm going to give you some examples of it in sentences. So, let's go to the next slide. So, to define a metaphor is when you say that something, a person, place, animal or thing, is something else. Have a look at the following examples. The first sentence says, "The wind is an angry witch." Well, we all know that the wind is not really an angry witch, but it sometimes might behave angrily. So we say the wind is an angry witch. One thing, the wind, is another, an angry witch. Let's have a look at the next sentence. Sally's tears were a river flowing down her cheeks. So the metaphor here is that Sally's tears were a river. In actual fact, Sally's tears were not really a river, but the two things are being compared to show that Sally was crying a lot. So there you have it. Two examples of metaphors in use in sentences. On the next slide, we're going to have a look at some more sentences, and this time I'd like you to underline where you believe the metaphors are in each sentence. So I'll see you on the next slide. Okay, let's have a look at these two sentences, and I'm asking you to underline the metaphors in the following sentences. So, after the explanation, you might like to pause the video, write out the sentence and underline where you think the metaphors are. Let's have a look at question 1. I'll read the sentence to you. My teacher is a dragon when we leave the room in a mess. Number 2. The ballerina was a swan gliding across the stage. So there are your two sentences. I'd now like you to pause the video and have a go at underlining the metaphors in the following sentences. I'll then come back to you and help you to correct the answers. Pause the video now. Well, how did you go on each sentence? Let's have a look. Firstly, we'll get ourselves a pen so that we can underline the correct words that make up the metaphor. Okay. So the first sentence says, my teacher is a dragon when we leave the room in a mess. So the metaphor, or the two things being compared, is my teacher and a dragon. So the correct answer is my teacher is a dragon. And that figurative language is there to explain that their teacher is as ferocious as a dragon when the class leaves the room in a mess. Let's have a look at sentence 2. The ballerina was a swan gliding across the stage. Now, the metaphor is comparing two things, and the two things that are compared are the ballerina and a swan. So there is your answer right there. And again, the ballerina is being compared to the swan because the swan is a graceful bird, and the ballerina obviously danced gracefully. Naturally, the ballerina is not a swan, but is merely being compared to the swan. So, there you have it. On the last slide, you're going to have a go at writing your own sentence using a metaphor. I'll see you on the next slide. Okay, we're on our final slide, and your job is now to write a well-structured, complex sentence containing a metaphor. Just repeating the learning intentions to make sure that you can write a well-structured, complex sentence which has the following things. 1, a capital letter to begin the sentence and also for proper nouns. 2, to make sure that you have end punctuation, whether it is a question mark, a full stop, or an exclamation mark. And finally, you need to make sure that you have a metaphor which compares two things and saying that one is another thing. Obviously, when you are writing your sentence or preparing your sentence, you will need to think it, say it, write it, and read it. All right, it's your turn, so good luck with your writing.